Hi, second grade families. I'm Jen Flannery,
I'm Jenny Tucker.
and we are the TD team at Shamrock Gardens. We would like to talk you through the CMS universal screening process for the gifted identification and TD certification process. So our session goals are to define giftedness, to share the information about the CMS gifted screening process. We have a separate screening process for second graders and then a different one for 3rd through 12th grade. And then we'll go through and analyze the 2022 through 2025 CMS gifted identification rubric. So our state requires that our district develops a clearly outlined procedures for identifying and serving gifted students.
Okay, we're going to define giftedness. If you all just take a moment to read this definition, and I just wanted to point out a few things when we're talking about gifted students. We know that AIG students have advanced learning needs, and just like other students across our schools, when their needs are not met, we do see them disengage, underperform, and not grow. So we know that it's imperative that we identify these needs and we provide these services to ensure that all of their needs are met. CMS currently has 5 ways that students can identify as gifted. They are academically and intellectually gifted, AI, intellectually gifted, IG, academically gifted, AG, academically gifted in reading only, and we label that as AR, or academically gifted in math only, and that is AM.
Now we're going to walk you through the CMS gifted screening process. So for second grade gifted screening, we're rooted in the best practices for gifted identification, and we use universal screening. So every student in second grade will receive a minimum of 2 assessment opportunities. We have formal opportunities that are aptitude and achievement based, and a couple of examples of those would be the COGAT test, our MAPS scores, and in some cases the Iowa. And then we have informal assessment opportunities, which are the gifted rating scales and our portfolios. These are comprehensive and they're aligned to the service model of the TD Catalyst. All of these provide multiple pathways for student identification. The timeline that we go through, actually starting last year in first grade, all students were screened using the GRS scales. This fall, we will begin administering our COGAT tests to all second graders. They will also take their MAPS tests. And then case-by-case basis, we will do an Iowa assessment for students that meet certain criteria or they have incomplete MAP data. In the fall, like between fall and winter, we will look at the different scores that we have and we will determine who needs a portfolio opportunity. And then in the winter and spring of this year, we will score the portfolios and we will communicate the results.
As Jen mentioned, in first grade, all first grade scholars in CMS are rated using our gifted rating scales. These just provide a standardized method for identifying children for potential gifted identification based on their teacher observations, and it allows for identification with their relative strengths in specific areas of giftedness. There's 6 domains that they are scored on, and those include intellectual, academic, motivation, creativity, leadership, and artistic talent. This year, all second graders in CMS will be taking the COGAT test. That stands for Cognitive Abilities Test. This is an aptitude assessment that measures reasoning and problem-solving skills and provides information on how a child thinks. It's divided into 3 batteries: verbal, quantitative, and nonverbal. The verbal battery assesses language base. Quantitative assesses mathematical concepts, patterns, relationships, and nonverbal assesses reasoning using shapes and pictures. And we will break these test batteries up between 3 different days. So the first day they'll be doing verbal only, second day quantitative, and the third day will be nonverbal. Finally, an ability profile is also provided after we get their scores, and that helps guide the instruction and help growing those individual scholars.
Another assessment that we use is the measure of academic progress, or the MAPS. You should be pretty familiar with the MAPS test. All of the younger grades have already taken them. The MAP assesses achievement in both reading and math. The MAP will be used as our achievement data point for everyone. So the COGAT and the GRS are paired with the MAPS to determine gifted eligibility. The students that do not identify with MAP scores may have an Iowa opportunity if they meet certain criteria. The Iowa assessment assesses achievement in both reading and math as well. Students must meet all the criteria in order to participate in this assessment opportunity. So they must have be in the 77th percentile or higher on the verbal, quantitative, QN composite, or overall VQN composite on the COGAT. They usually have an incomplete or missing fall MAP score, either in reading or in math. And a set of complete achievement scores may provide opportunities for identification in the portfolio process.
Okay, so TD portfolios. This is just a systematic collection of work samples that we complete with the scholars that will demonstrate their gifted traits and behaviors. They're scored by a team of trained TD teachers throughout the district to determine if evidence of the following categories exist: advanced language, analytical thinking, motivation, perseverance or leadership, perspective, sensitivity and humor, or creativity and artistic talent. So students must meet certain criteria in order to participate in this assessment opportunity. So that, again, is a case-by-case basis. So the case-by-case basis and the criteria are CMS second graders who remain unidentified after aptitude, achievement, and informal assessment opportunities. They must meet one of the following criteria in order to participate in the portfolio opportunity. They have to score in the 84th percentile or higher in 3 or more domains on the GRS gifted rating scales, with at least one of those occurring in intellectual, academic, or creativity domains. They must score in the 77th to 88th percentile on the overall age composite, or VQN, on a CMS administered aptitude test, which is our COGAT test. Earn 6 points on the gifted identification rubric through the achievement assessment, and score in the 77th percentile or higher on any battery of a CMS administered aptitude assessment, and have one or more of the following factors: an English learner, exceptional child, McKinney-Vento, chronic absenteeism, multiple entry points within 24 months, or they attend a Title I or low performing school.
So why the 77? In order to capture all of the 7th, 8th, and 9th stay nines, which are the students that are showing above average performance, this allows the students to demonstrate gifted traits and abilities in another way to create a comprehensive learner profile. The GRS gifted classifications are used as the first range screening instrument. So in first grade, teachers rate students via observational checklists in 6 different domains. The GRS are not used in isolation, however. They are used in a combination with either GRS and COGATs, or GRS and portfolio, or GRS and MAP scores. The higher that the student's T-score is, that you can see on this chart, in one or more of the gifted scales, then that means the more likely they are that the student is gifted. And they expand in ranges to include all of the very high probability and the high probability categories to create more opportunities.
Okay, now we're going to introduce you to our CMS identification rubric. Just some highlights. The students start earning points for aptitude and achievement scores in the 77th percentile or higher that Jen just mentioned. There is a more direct path to gifted identification than there was in the past. Once a student identifies as gifted in a capacity, the process stops. And there are multiple pathways for students to identify as gifted in CMS. This is our gifted identification rubric, And again, there's many different pathways in identifying as gifted in CMS through all the different ways we're discussing. And if you have any questions on that as the process begins, we are happy to answer them. There are opportunities beyond second grade, however. So unidentified students may be considered for rescreening after a period of at least 24 months have passed their initial COGAT screening. All decisions regarding rescreening are conducted at the school level, and they're just determined by the TD site-based committee. Multiple data points are used to make that decision whether a scholar needs to be rescreened or not. The screening process includes formal assessments, the COGAT, combined with achievement scores, which would be EOG or MAP. And then the screening window for 3rd through 5th grade students typically occurs in the fall and the winter.
We understand that this is a lot of information to take on. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. Thanks.